What are my symptoms trying to tell me? We're conditioned to perceive our unwanted symptoms, whether they are physical or psychological in nature, as something bad, as something that ideally should not exist, and as something that we should actually fear because they can make our lives very difficult, cause us a lot of harm and pain, and even kill us. And so we act from that place of fight, of trying to get rid of that thing that came from the outside in an almost arbitrary way to make us our lives difficult, to punish us, or even to kill us. And so we turn to chemical medication or to natural remedies, if that is more our inclination. We might turn to surgery, vaccination, but there's always this notion that we are fighting against an enemy. Whether we are using conventional or natural ways to fight it, we are acting from that place of fear, of resistance, and I would say of disconnect and projection. There's another way to relate to our symptoms and also to accidents or any unwanted life event that seems to be happening to us without our conscious contribution. And that is to perceive our symptoms or anything that happens in our lives as a messenger from our soul that talks to us in a symbolic language. The astrological perspective teaches us that we are born under a specific quality of time, and that each and every one of us simply has to go through life moving through specific constellations, energetic constellations, simply to experience them in their often contradictory duality, to eventually balance them out and integrate all of these different energies. And it's up to us how we experience these constellations. We cannot choose the constellations, or better said, we did choose them before incarnating, but then we can choose if we resist or if we learn voluntarily and proactively, and if we are willing to embrace all that exists outside of us, but also inside of us. It's just energies, it's archetypes, and they are neutral. There's no value judgment other than the one we apply. And so usually we identify with one of the poles. We like to be flexible and not rigid. We like to be smart and not dumb. We like to be reasonable and not unreasonable, and so on and so forth. And the journey is to see that we are all of that. We are the ones that give life, and we are the ones that give death. We are the smart ones, and we are the ignorant ones. We are the courageous ones, and we are the ones that have fear. And as long as we choose to not identify with any of those, we push them into the shadow of our consciousness. that doesn't make them go away. That just makes them act out of our conscious control, and that usually makes them appear as unwanted happenings in our life. Whether these are events, whether these are accidents, whether these are illnesses. In a way, it is that which we don't see, that we don't choose to live, or that we live but that we choose to not see, that we deny, these are the things that will show up in our bodies as symptoms. So in a way, that which we have as a symptom is that which we either choose to not live because it's bad and you shouldn't be that way, or we are living it but we deny that we are. So that is when, you say, I am not aggressive, for example. So you are living that energy, but you are not seeing it in yourself. And so this aggressive energy will somehow show up in your body, maybe as inflammation, maybe as an autoimmune disease. There are many ways that it can show up. And so if we can change the perspective onto all these unwanted events in our lives as something that we actually create, that we are responsible for on some level without blaming us, just as a way to actually become curious. How is that thing serving me on some level? How is it meeting some need? How is it fulfilling some desire that my soul has, that maybe my conscious ego doesn't have, but that on a deeper level I want to or need to experience. And if I can open myself to that perspective, that this symptom, that event is not my enemy, that it is not arbitrary, that it is something that I chose or choose on some level because it's meeting a need or a desire that I'm not aware of, then suddenly I can drop out of victim consciousness. I can drop out of fighting and constant stress, which then again has its very own consequences in the body, and can allow us to finally arrive to a place of relaxation and exploration, and that is where true healing can take place. And so in a way, our symptoms or any unwanted happenings in our lives are not there to punish us. They are there to help us be who we truly are, to get back onto our true path that we might have lost due to outside conditioning. So the invitation is to stop fighting and to start listening, to start looking for that part of ourselves that we have pushed away into the shadow of existence, to reintegrate it and to learn from it, and to see what it has to tell us about some deep need or desire of our soul. And we can do that in different ways. We can do that learning the symbolic language of symptoms, of the different body parts, also bringing in astrological archetypes, and having an inner dialogue between these different energies inside of us, see what each of them wants and which one we are currently paying attention to, which one we are not paying attention to, and how we can find a balance so that everybody feels taken into account. We can also explore our symptoms from the body, leaving aside the mental analysis and really just connecting to that specific body part that hurts or that is giving us symptoms, breathing into it, giving it a sound, a voice, allowing it to move our body, to express to us, to show us, to speak to us. What is it that you are here to tell us? And just listen without judgment. We can also bring in other people to play that part of our symptom in constellation play, for example. There are many ways to explore the messages that might be hiding underneath our symptoms. And ideally, of course, we look at them from all the different angles. And in this video exploration, of course, I'm going to focus more on the mental analysis. I might also guide you through some embodied process at some point. But if you're really looking for a very personal exploration, then of course I would recommend you reach out to do something in one-on-one sessions. But I'm sure that already from watching that video series, you will get a lot of inspiration for your personal process. And I'm here to support you if you require or desire more support. So thank you for listening and enjoy the series. And you had the pleasure to hear and also see some of my chickens.